Welcome to this episode of Quilt 101. Today we are going to be talking about this super cute added up quilt pattern. Plus we have a special guest.
All right, so in the mail, you will get the added up kit. So in the kit, you will have your pattern, backing that you have picked out. So there's your backing, binding that you've chose.
That's already cut. Let's just add that.
Yeah, already
So
cut.
nice.
You will have your
The solid background.
yeah, the solid background, the sashings, the squares, everything you need is going to be in there. These are the prints that make up the plus signs. Mm-hmm. So the first step, what you're going to do is separate your prints into a set. So a set is going to include one of these long pieces for matching. Can you help me find the matching ones real quick?
Yeah, I think it's on the very back.
Sorry, we got 4 of those. How many is that?
Here's like a set there. Is that what you
Okay.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's right, it's just 2.
Yeah, it's just 2.
Sorry, I'm thinking it's 4, just 2. I'm like,
Yeah.
where's the other pieces? Okay, we got it. All right, so you divide them up in sets. Along with that set, you're gonna have the 4 background corner squares.
So I'll lay this out so they can kind of see.
Yep.
So here's kind of like, those will go there. And then we have this smaller background squares that will be added on the sides of these.
So this kit is based on making basically a block. So this, you want to show them?
Yeah. So that's a block.
Without the sashing.
Yeah.
So pretend the sashing's not there. So this right here is the block. So the blocks are the same throughout the whole quilt. So we're going to teach you how to make the block.
Yes.
So let's get everything else out of the way.
I actually have stuff already set aside, so I'm just going to
Yep.
put this back here. I think our viewers should meet our special guest.
Okay.
You guys ready to meet our
All
special
right.
guest? I'll be right back.
You don't want to miss this. This is the newest addition to our Christiansen family.
This is Luna.
Oh, hello, Luna. Oh, hello, hello.
She's what, a 15-week-old golden doodle. And we've had her since she was a couple months. And she is, shake you, baby. Oh.
She loves attention, as you can see, and she doesn't like it when we sew, because that means we don't give her attention.
Yes. So this is the Quilt 101 mascot.
I know, Jingle Puppy. Oh, I know.
And we'll have to bring her in different videos. Say hi. Say
Okay,
bye-bye.
I'm done with sewing.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Sewing
How
isn't her
cute
thing.
is our special guest?
Oh, all right. So let's see the pieces to this block. Okay, on the ironing board.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I've got some dog slobber on me.
all over my face. Oh my goodness.
All right, so we're gonna lay out the block.
Similar, it's pretty much exactly to what we showed you earlier.
Yep. Where's that one?
Where is it?
I think I put them in there actually.
Here we go. Okay.
All right. So it's basically in 3 rows. So we've got this one. Okay, let's move that out of the way so they can see better. Okay. We've got that one, and then we've got this one right up here. So for these 2 rows, we're going to sew this square to the middle, and then that square, right sides together. So we're just going to do one block up real quick for you. Oh no, my glasses. Ironing board.
Got it. Here you go.
I can't hold the sewing machine far enough away for me to see. All right. Okay, 1/4 inch seam.
There you go. I'm going to get the iron going as well.
All right, let's get these all lined up here. Okay, then we're just going to add the other print to the other side of the, the solid on the other side of the print to make the row. And you just want to make sure they're squared up. Like you don't want to sew like that where you can see some of the bottom. You want to make sure that it's squared up.
Yeah.
Nice and even with the top and the bottom. And a 1/4 inch. Always check your 1/4 inch before every project. Because if you're off even a little bit,
It throws
it can
everything
throw off. I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing though is that when you start your quilt, just always keep the same.
And if you turn your machine off, a lot of the times it'll default to a certain setting. So just make sure that if you turn your machine off and then back on, you change it so it's the same.
Yes. I've learned that the hard way.
All right, so now we just need to take these to the ironing board.
And you always press on this one for the block, the plus sign block, you iron it to the print.
And we'll show you what that means in just a second. All right, so now that we have the solid squares sewn to the printed square, we always iron to the print. And so that way you want to have the seam, and so it goes underneath the print like that. So this, you just want to press that, and then you just rotate it and do it to the other side. And if you can see on here how these seams are folded over towards the pattern. So we're just gonna do the same thing on this one. So iron into the print. Okay, so now we just take this back to the sewing machine where we will add the big block like that to it.
All right, so let's finish our plus sign block. So we've got these ironed and we have our middle row that we need to sew. So we're taking the top row, we're flipping it over. You want to make sure that's lined up and throw a pin in there to keep it together.
I can iron that for
you. All right,
you.
Emily's sewing this time.
Or not iron, I can sew it.
I mean sewing. Did I say iron?
Yeah, I think we both
Sewing.
did.
I just make sure those seams stay the right direction.
Yep. Okay. And then, I guess we gotta cut this.
That out. And then I always lay it back out to make sure I got it right. It's easy to get turned around. Anyways, take that, flip it over on this one. Put a pin in it. Sew her up.
Thank you.
Okay, while she's sewing that also, I can explain the next step. So you'll see the plus sign blocks, and there's sashing under each one. This one is called the horizontal sashing. So it's going to go under each plus sign except for the last block. So this quilt, this baby one, you'll be able to see.
You can just probably pull that down. Just pull it off. There you go.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to.
So on the baby one, actually it goes this way.
Okay.
You've got the sashing here, and no sashing on the bottle because this is considered your outer border. So just keep that in mind, and the directions will tell you what to do. So to sew the sashing on, you are just going to sew the rectangle right on the bottom.
Yep. Well, we also need to finish ironing, but I guess we can do that all at the same time.
Yeah, you know, you can either iron it or just sew it on. So we're gonna sew that on the bottom.
And then we'll take this over to the ironing station.
All right, so the ironing on this block, remember, is always to the print. So we are going to iron that one, flip it around, kind of set the seam, and then iron it again to the print. Now with the sashing and the borders, it actually gets ironed to the either the sashing, whether it's the vertical, horizontal.
And that there's better instructions on, like, in the pattern that shows you where, like, how to iron things.
All
So
right.
just make sure to pay attention to that.
Okay.
Cool. So now we have, well, now you know how to make the block, and it really wasn't that bad. And it goes pretty quickly whenever you start to chain piece things and you just kind of do a bunch all at the same time. But that is what you need to know to get started making the added up quilt pattern.